All right, setting me up. I'm probably already live. I'm waiting for the screen. All right, and I'll turn this down. That'll feedback. Hey, uh, I was gonna put this on Facebook Live. I don't know what's going on with Facebook in the morning. Facebook at night works great. I hook up the Zoom. I click go live on Facebook. I pick the page I want, the group I want, and boom, I'm in. For some reason, in the mornings, it's just not getting through on Facebook, but it works great on YouTube. So here we are, YouTube Live. Once this is done recording, I'll go ahead and port that link over to the Manana Nomas Facebook page and the Power Sports Marine Service Network page. But I am somewhat relieved, somewhat happy, very, very excited. Um, Couple of things. First off, big shout out to Paul Bundy. Paul Bundy gave me some support and actually emailed Brian Croft and said, "When are you going to put Kurt back on the podcast, man?" And so me and Brian knocked out the follow up to that podcast for the Dealership Fix It podcast, and that should be out, whenever Brian gets that edited. No pressure on his end, right? But we put out, kind of a follow up to the original interview I did with him, and part of that message is, if you're a dealership and you're working, fantastic. How are you working? How have you altered customers' expectations? How have you met customers' expectations? How are you communicating with people to make them feel a little less alienated about doing business in this new COVID era? Things like that. If you're not open, what are you doing to, embrace, to coddle, to manage your staff? uh, are you investing in them at all? Are you investing in some training for them? Now, I'm a trainer, so full transparency there. I of course am going to say, hey, if you're gonna train your people, I'm your guy. But it could be as simple as a lynda.com account, $50 a month that you're getting them into, to say, hey, learn about Excel spreadsheets, learn about first in, first out, learn rotating inventory, learn about, I mean, lynda.com's got courses for just about everything. So, and you can get that right through LinkedIn, right? And so there's opportunity to invest in people and keep the relationship with people, even if you furloughed them. Hey, I'm sorry I had to furlough you, but we're a small business. We can't afford to keep the salary going. Well, hopefully the PPP loan will come through. But if that doesn't happen, please know that I at least want to take care of you, invest in you and give you some training, so when we bring you back to work, we can be that much more stronger. There's just different ways to communicate where we're at right now. And so if you're not working, I implore you, invest in your staff. And then the next thing is, invest in your business. Just because the business has to be closed doesn't necessarily mean, based on the municipality and the rules, that you can't be there, right? So, this could be the time that you gut the service department and clean it. This could be the time that, you have your technicians throw away all those parts and bits that they keep under their under their workbench, that they say, oh, I might need this someday, but they're never going to need that someday. And newsflash, if they need that someday, that means that you need to sell the part, right? You're in the business of selling parts, not putting used parts on people's motorcycles. So if the technician wants to keep that stuff for himself, he can take it home, put it in storage, do whatever he wants with it. But, it shouldn't be under the workbench in the work area. You need to have that, functional for business. And so, a clean, sterile work environment, because if you have bright floors and a bright ceiling with some good LED lighting, your efficiency, your productivity is going to pick up pace, and the morale is going to be better. When the morale's better, you get less employee turnover and you get higher profits. So, I'm really big on that. Pull all the motorcycles, all the quads, all the UTVs, all the jet skis, all the whatever. Pull all that stuff out of the showroom, scrub the showroom from one corner to the next to the next. I mean, clean the whole room. And then when you put things back, don't put things in line, like, stacking all these things up and they all tilt on each other, right? Customers can't see the product. And if you've got multiple brands and you're just stacking all these bikes like this, you think, right, over all this time, you're like, well, I've got to get the inventory on the floor. I've got to squeeze this stuff in. People want to see everything, and so you've convinced yourself that, you need to cram this stuff in so people think you're popping with inventory. And that's not really the case. People want to be around the product. They want to see the product. They want to be able to do the sales dance. And the sales dance is when the salesperson can go, bend with me here. Look at this fork. Look at this caliper. Look at the chain drive. Look at the shaft drive. Look at, and you can't do the sales dance if the motorcycle's crammed in, right? And so if you pull everything out, clean the whole showroom, and put things back in like little semicircular kind of display patches in segments, adventure bikes, sport bikes, dirt bikes, dual purpose bikes, standard scramblers, and you have all that, and then accessorize those displays with product from your accessory department that match the genre of riding. It puts together more of an experience. And so, and again, I'm going to hit the lighting, right? I've seen shops that have pulled out the incandescent lights and put in the LED lights. And in a lot of cases, there's some kind of subsidy from the government or the power company to come and do that. So they take out all your incandescent lights, they put in your LED lights, and man, the showroom pops, right? They did that at PJ's Motorcycles in Albuquerque way back in 2011, I think it was. And I remember the first day walking in from the yellow lights to the bright white lights. It was like, holy crap, what a difference. And it wasn't even an expense. It was an expense to have people come in and do it, right? Because I had to babysit that whole thing getting done. But didn't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for equipment or labor. So there's options. And that's what I'm getting at. Right now is the time to evaluate your options. Take a look at all of your customer friction points. Take a look at anything that would be an objection or an obstacle to a customer performing business with you, right? And be objective about it. Ask customers, take your phone list and go, okay, these are my top 10 repeat customers. These are my top 20 repeat customers. Call them up. Say, hey, we consider you part of the family. Just want to ask you, we're evaluating our business. What are some of the friction points? What are some of the obstacles, that confronted you when you consider doing business with us? Because we want to make this better for future customers. And man, people will love you for asking them, and they'll tell you. If you tell them that, they'll tell you what they want. They want, better access to your parking lot. They want you to stripe the parking lot. They want to know where the service department is. They need a dressing room. They would love to try accessories and, have a different size range. I mean, they'll tell you what it is that was the obstacle to doing business with you. And then that gives you a list of friction points that you can concentrate on and work on, right? To get ready to relaunch your company as the COVID, crisis kind of dissipates. Now, takes me to the second issue, because I kind of teased you. I put back to work soon as the title of the video. I was so excited. Uh, actually, one of the guys that was on the sales team with me at Ducati Motor Holdings, so over in Italy, Ferruccio Amadori. Ferruccio Amadori, he just had his birthday on Monday. And it was funny because, over here, I was getting news reports saying that Ducati was restoring, factory time on Monday, right? Like they're going back to work. They're going to start making motorcycles starting Monday. And so for Ferruccio, for his birthday, I sent him a thing, in Italian, it's, buongiorno, buon compleanno. And then I said, isn't that fantastic? The factory is going to celebrate your birthday by opening up and starting to make motorcycles again. And so Ducati's open, and Via Gusta is open, Brembo Brakes is open, and all those are my friends in Italy, going back to work. So I take that as a really great first step for us, right? Because now we can go, okay, well, hey, Italy was the epicenter of this thing, and they're starting to open back up again. There's hope that we'll be opening up soon too, right? And then everyone's talking about this Dr. Erickson video, right? If you haven't seen that, maybe you need to watch that. But he talks about, theories of immunology and how the COVID crisis is affecting us, and how, isolation may have been necessary at the beginning, but it's not really necessary now. And here is why. And he goes through all this. And it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people are paying attention to that, right? Georgia has been in the news about wanting to open back up their state. Other states have chosen to stay open, and they haven't really had this great spike in numbers that people were afraid of. So that's good. That's all good news for us, from a business perspective. Okay, I want to be super clear. I'm not trying to politicize this. I'm trying to have good news for our businesses. It also came across my headline last night that in Germany, the factory went back to work at Volkswagen. And so, you know, you might be saying, well, that's Germany, that's Italy. Who cares what Sweden does, right? Things like that. But, this is a global issue. And so if we take a look at what other people are doing in the globe and then, try and put that full circle to ourselves, we can see that there is hope. We're coming around the corner on this thing. And then I'll submit to you that everything I said at the beginning of this video, dressing up the service department, changing the point of purchase displays, maybe changing some processes for customer flow within your business, establishing a pit stop plan to get customers through sales and exit through service. You know, if these are things that, you hear me talking, you go, man, we should probably do something like that. That time might not be as long as you're thinking it is, right? It might be business as usual pretty soon. And if that were to happen, you'd be back on your heels again going, man, I'd love to do all this stuff, but we just don't have the time, right? There's customers are coming. There's always something going on. I can't shut down for a 4-day weekend to make that change, whatever. There's going to be excuses down the road. So now's the time. I would encourage you, if you hear what I'm saying and you're going, that sounds great, but I don't know how to do that. Or that sounds, we don't have the time, or, we don't have someone to run that project. I would encourage you to just reach out to me. You can do that through, you can make a comment on this video. You can go to mañananomas.com, mañananomas.com, hit the contact link, pop me a message in there. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, man, I'm everywhere. So, get in touch with me and we can do, a quick 10-15 minute call, do a little quick needs assessment. If I can add value to you over that call, I will. And if we deem that, there's something we can do together, we can work together. It's not a problem. But I feel, somewhat hopeful that we are coming really, really close to the end of the worst part of it. Right. And now, just as I said from the very beginning, with disruption, there's always opportunity. We have to figure out, how do we make this disruption our opportunity? How do we improve our relationships with our coworkers, our relationships with our customers, and in the end of this thing, possibly see some growth at the end of the fiscal? I know that in the marine sectors, they've actually seen a pretty high demand, at least at the wholesale level, for marine product. And that's really, really promising, because while other businesses were like worried about completely shutting down, marine has actually been picking up a little bit of pace, right? But let's talk about who is picking up pace. The people that are picking up pace are just as I described, a month ago. Those that concentrate on communication and making sure that there is connection through that communication. You want the communication with your customer to be relationship based and not transactional. And so, if you have questions about what that looks like or how that sounds, you could listen to the Dealership Fix It podcast that Brian's going to release, because I talk about that a little bit. Or you could give me a call, get in contact with me, and we'll take the next steps together. All right. Have yourself a fantastic day. Again, I'm relatively hopeful that we're moving forward through this process, and I look forward to visiting and coming out to see a lot of you. So have a good one. Bye-bye.